In just 24 hours, two major American highways more than 1,000 miles apart collapsed into complete chaos. High in the Colorado Rockies, a sudden whiteout swallowed Interstate 70, turning Glenwood Canyon into a frozen trap. Nearly 50 vehicles smashed together in a violent chain reaction, SUVs spinning out, semis jackknifing, drivers fighting desperately to keep control on a surface turned to invisible black ice. Yet, as Colorado counted its blessings after a miracle with 0 fatalities, another storm was already building across the Great Lakes. By the next afternoon in Michigan, a fierce lake-effect snowband slammed into Interstate 94. Visibility plunged to near 0. One car spun out, and within minutes, more than 40 vehicles were piled across the highway. This time, the outcome was far worse. Lives were changed forever. One driver didn't make it home. 2 states, 2 massive pileups, one unstoppable winter system sweeping across America. Tonight, we break down exactly how these disasters unfolded, second by second, why Colorado survived and why Michigan didn't, and the hidden dangers millions of Americans will face as winter tightens its grip. This is the moment ordinary highways became disaster zones, and a warning for every driver on the road. Just before noon on a quiet Sunday, drivers winding through Glenwood Canyon had no warning of what was coming. The cowering rock walls that normally make Interstate 70 one of the most scenic drives in Colorado suddenly became a trap as a fast-moving winter cell slammed into the Rockies. Within moments, the sky dimmed, winds surged, and a wall of swirling snow dropped visibility to less than 500 feet. What had looked like a normal wet roadway minutes earlier transformed into a sheet of black ice, transparent, frictionless, invisible. At 11:28 a.m., disaster struck. A single vehicle lost traction near mile marker 130, sliding sideways across the westbound lanes. The next car never saw it, nor did the one behind that. In seconds, collisions multiplied, metal crunching, glass exploding, airbags blasting. When the snow briefly settled, around 20 vehicles lay twisted together in a mangled chain reaction across the canyon floor. But the nightmare wasn't over. 15 minutes later, at 11:42 a.m., another catastrophe erupted in the eastbound lanes near milepost 119, about 10 miles away. This second pileup was even larger, around 30 vehicles, including SUVs, sedans, and multiple commercial trucks. Drivers tried to brake, but found their tires gliding helplessly across polished ice. Others, blinded by whiteout conditions, plowed into the expanding cluster of wrecked vehicles. Traffic on both sides of I-70 ground to an immediate halt. Families stepped out of stranded cars, stunned, shaking, unable to see more than a few yards ahead. Semis idled on shoulders. Hazard lights flickered through the storm like faint beacons. The canyon echoed with the distant rumble of yet another vehicle sliding into the chaos. Colorado State Patrol issued a sobering assessment. Most drivers were traveling too fast for conditions, unaware of how quickly the storm would collapse visibility and freeze the pavement. Even well-equipped mountain vehicles, AWD SUVs, lifted pickups, studded tires, lost control the moment black ice took over. And still, in the face of all this destruction, something extraordinary happened. Not a single person died. Troopers called it a miracle, a blessing, a near miss on a scale rarely seen. But while Colorado escaped tragedy, the same storm system was gaining strength, racing east toward Michigan, where the next highway would not be so fortunate. As the twin pileups shut down Interstate 70, Glenwood Canyon transformed into a crisis zone. Nearly 50 vehicles, cars, SUVs, pickups, commercial trucks were scattered like toppled dominoes, half buried in snow. Some leaned at dangerous angles. Others were crushed together so tightly that rescuers struggled to see where one vehicle ended and another began. Heavy snow kept falling, coating windshields and even the helmets of firefighters battling the cold. Wind funneled through the steep rock walls, blasting icy powder horizontally across the scene, making every step treacherous. For first responders, the canyon felt less like a highway and more like a frozen battlefield. Colorado DOT ordered a full shutdown of I-70 between exit 133 and exit 114. Traffic in both directions sat motionless for miles. Truckers idled. Families warmed their hands over dashboard feeders. Drivers stepped into knee-deep drifts, staring at the faint glow of emergency lights buried in the snow. Inside the canyon, rescuers moved vehicle to vehicle, checking survivors, stabilizing the injured, cutting paths through wreckage. Tow trucks had to chain up just to enter the crash zone. Snowplows followed close behind, spreading sand and magnesium chloride to carve out a workable surface. One of the most urgent rescues was 42-year-old Mark Henderson from Denver, whose SUV had been crushed between two commercial trucks. Firefighters worked in the storm's relentless cold as they cut through wreckage. Snowflakes collected on Mark's jacket, while medics fought to stabilize his broken leg and prevent hypothermia. Responders continued checking vehicles, some with shattered glass, some nearly buried in fresh snow. Drivers shivered as they waited to be escorted to warming shelters. As daylight faded and the storm intensified, the canyon glowed with emergency lights reflecting off swirling snow. Crews refused to leave until every vehicle and every occupant was accounted for. Hours later, long after dark, a single lane reopened. Full travel wouldn't resume until late in the night. Colorado had narrowly escaped tragedy, but the storm was still marching east, toward Michigan. By Monday afternoon, southwest Michigan had fallen under the grip of a violent lake-effect snowband, notorious for striking fast and transforming safe roads into instant disaster zones. Interstate 94, near Hartford, exit 46, would be its next victim. At 1:15 p.m., traffic was normal. Cars flowed smoothly. Truckers cruised. Families returned from Thanksgiving trips. Then everything changed in seconds. The horizon vanished. A wall of white crashed across I-94, dropping visibility from miles to nothing. Drivers described instant blindness. Beneath this curtain of snow lay a transparent layer of black ice, a trap no tire could grip. The disaster began with one vehicle. A passenger car moving too fast for conditions hit the ice, spun violently, and slammed into the median. The driver behind never saw it, nor did the next. Within seconds, a semi-truck plowed into the wreck, unable to brake. Another semi slammed in from behind. Passenger cars piled on top of one another as momentum carried them into the growing mass of twisted metal. Witnesses said it sounded like a thunderstorm made of steel. When the chain reaction ended, the main impact zone involved 14 passenger cars, 3 semi-trucks, plus more than 25 others that slid off the road or into guardrails trying to avoid the wreck. Some cars were crushed beneath trailers, others folded in half. A few were buried under drifting snow so quickly that responders struggled to find them. First responders, barely able to see, crawled along the shoulder using emergency flashers, voices, and car horns to navigate. Medics knelt in thigh-deep snow, treating the injured. Fire crews smashed windows, cut open doors, and dug through drifts that had formed inside the vehicles themselves. Then came the news no one wanted. A 71-year-old truck driver from Burbank, Illinois, critically injured in the initial impact, died shortly after transport. The storm had claimed its first life. Another driver was rushed to Spectrum Health in critical condition. Dozens more suffered broken bones, lacerations, chest trauma, or severe hypothermia. I-94 stayed completely shut down for over 12 hours, reopening around 4 a.m. Tuesday. For thousands stranded on Michigan's icy interstate, it was a chilling reminder of how a normal afternoon commute can become a fight for survival. Colorado experienced a miracle. Michigan faced a tragedy, and the stories inside the wreckage were only beginning to surface. Among the shredded metal, swirling snow, and flashing emergency lights on I-94, the true cost of the disaster wasn't measured in vehicle counts. It was measured in the human stories, moments of terror, bravery, and heartbreak.
None more devastating than the story of Jessica and Brian Lee.
The investigators found that neither crash started with reckless driving, but with normal highway speeds and conditions that turned deadly instantly. The posted speed limit is for ideal weather. In storms like this, even 30 to 40 miles per hour can be too fast. Once visibility vanished and ice took over, vehicles became projectiles, each crash triggering the next. Even AWD and 4WD vehicles fell victim. Those systems help you accelerate, not stop. Many of the hardest-hit vehicles in Michigan were heavy SUVs and pickups whose weight carried them deeper into the wreck once traction disappeared. Infrastructure played a role too. Even the best plow and salt crews can't instantly neutralize ice forming beneath fast-falling snow. Michigan's plows couldn't reach sections of the crash for hours. Colorado's canyon winds blew fresh powder over newly treated roads within minutes. And then there's the bigger picture. American winters are becoming more erratic. Sudden temperature swings, rapid snowbursts, violent lake effect bands, flash freezes, they're all becoming more frequent. These storms are forming faster, hitting harder, and catching drivers off guard. Officials warned that these pileups are not anomalies, they're previews. Drivers must slow down at the first sign of snow, increase following distance to 6 to 10 seconds, use winter tires when possible, and treat bridges and shaded areas as danger zones. Because when whiteout strike and black ice takes over, even the most skilled driver can lose control. Physics makes the rules. No vehicle or technology can outrun the laws of motion. Colorado was lucky. Michigan was not, and the storms forming now suggest that this winter may bring more moments where luck simply isn't enough. As snow settles on Colorado's canyon walls and Michigan's interstate slowly reopens, one truth becomes clear. Winter is only beginning, and these storms are growing more dangerous every year. In just 24 hours, two major highways separated by 1,000 miles became scenes of chaos, heartbreak, and remarkable courage. Colorado was spared by inches, Michigan was not, and millions of Americans will face the same storms in the weeks ahead. These pileups were warnings that visibility can vanish instantly, that black ice can turn any car into a projectile, that winter doesn't care what you drive or how experienced you are. As the next storm approaches, remember the stories of Jessica and Brian Lee, the truck driver who never made it home, the family stranded on I-70, the firefighters battling freezing winds in Glenwood Canyon. Their stories are reminders that one cautious decision can save your life and the lives of others. Before you go, share your experience. Have you ever driven through a whiteout or hit black ice? What happened and what did you learn? Your story might help someone else survive this winter. If this breakdown helped explain what happened on I-70 and I-94, like the video, share it with friends and family who drive in winter, and subscribe for more real-world disaster analysis and extreme weather coverage. Stay warm, stay alert, and stay safe. Winter in America is just getting started.